Is your B2B website doing more harm than good? If you're not getting the leads or conversions you expected, then chances are you're making some critical mistakes. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the top 5 mistakes that I see B2B businesses making with their websites and how you can fix them for better results. Hi guys, I'm Robin, your B2B marketing bestie, and as a former leader at one of the top B2B website agencies, I've led the strategy for hundreds of B2B websites. And when clients would come in looking for a redesign, their websites were often in pretty bad shape. Maybe they weren't getting traffic, maybe they weren't engaging their visitors, and they definitely weren't getting conversions. But oftentimes they didn't even know what the problem was. They just knew that they weren't getting results. In my 8 years leading strategy for these B2B websites, these top 5 mistakes that I'm going to go over are conversion killers. But I'm going to show you what to do instead. I do want to say that I'm going to be using some examples that I found online. And so if you happen to work at one of these businesses whose websites I'm going to cover, then I'm sorry in advance. I don't mean to pick on you, but just consider it free professional advice. Okay, the number 5 biggest mistake that I see B2B websites make is bloated copy. And when I say bloated copy, I'm not necessarily meaning too much copy, because there are some times where you want to have a lot of copy on a page. I know for SEO purposes, sometimes people like to have a higher word count, and that's okay. But you need to make sure that you are organizing your copy well, and that it just doesn't look like you're shoving too many words in one paragraph, because that is overwhelming for users and they're not going to want to read it. This is what we call the wall of text, and people just see it and their brains shut down. They see all this copy. It really looks like a wall and they don't want to climb it because it's intimidating, it's daunting. They don't have time, they're very busy, and just seeing something like that makes them just kind of shut off. These days with social media, people are used to scrolling and they're used to getting just quick bits of information one after the other as they scroll. So that's sort of how you want to treat your website when you're writing copy. This is a much more engaging experience to provide short bits of copy that are broken up with subheads or visuals. Okay, I'm going to go over a couple of examples of websites that I found online, one of which has kind of bloated copy that may need to be either trimmed down or broken up differently. And then I'm going to go over a website who has done a really great job with breaking up their copy and providing a great experience for their users. Okay, now looking at this website here, it's not horrible. They have a nice design here. These illustrations are engaging, and the top doesn't have too much copy, but then as we start scrolling down, we start getting into a lot of copy here. This is kind of that wall of text that I mentioned, and then scrolling down, even more copy, and then scrolling down, lots more copy. And I do appreciate that they tried to split this up into sections with the headers and then an image on either side, but within each section there's still just a ton of copy. This is a lot for users to digest, so I think they could do a better job at breaking up some of this copy and making it look a little bit more engaging. Okay, now we're going to look at another website that does a really nice job at splitting up copy. So up here right away you can see they've got one headline and one sentence in this hero section. So very quick and easy to digest. And then scrolling down, okay, we're getting into a little bit more copy here, but you can see, okay, they've got a headline and then this is basically 2 sentences, this paragraph. And it's in a larger font than this copy here, so there's a little bit of differentiation and it makes it a little bit more engaging and it kind of breaks it up even more. And then here we're splitting these up into 3 bullet points. So instead of having a long paragraph that talks about these elements, we're breaking it up into little bite-sized chunks. And then we've even got like a visual icon here, which makes it even more engaging. These only have 1 sentence each and a short little subhead. And then scrolling down, so getting into a next section, just a headline and 2 sentences of copy. Scrolling down, we've got again, next section, 1 headline and then 1 sentence of copy, or basically 4 lines. And then one thing also that is nice is this little section here. They've got copy that's in this accordion feature, so if you click on it, then you get a little bit more copy here. So if somebody's interested in third-party integrations, they would just click on it and then they could get the information here. So this is another great way to break up your copy. So which one of these websites would you rather engage with? Chances are it is the latter. I know I would. It just looks more inviting. So just be sure to organize your copy, streamline it, break it up with visuals, subheads, bullet points. things that give the reader's eye a little bit of break so that it's more engaging to read. The number 4 biggest mistake that I see with B2B websites is confusing navigation. Now, before we get into the details about your navigation, there's one thing I have to say, and that is to please put your website navigation at the top of your website. Don't put it on the side. Don't try to have the menu items scattered around your website. You want to put it at the top because that is where users expect to see it. It is the standard. You don't want to make them go hunting around for your navigation and trying to find things. You want to make it really easy for them. If you want to get creative with your copy, get creative with your visuals, but don't get creative with the navigation. It is functional and it should just be at the top, and it should be very easy to use and intuitive. People need to find what they're looking for quickly and easily. Otherwise, they get frustrated and they just leave. Let's take a look at the website navigation for a composite manufacturing company. Okay, now looking at this website here, and I'm not gonna talk about the design here, but let's look at the navigation. So first of all, it's pretty small and not super obvious, although it is at the top, and so that's a good thing. And the categories aren't too bad, although home is really not necessary. This sort of dates your website. People don't put home in the navigation anymore because usually there's a logo here and people know to click on that logo and that will take you to the home page. Starting with products is actually a good idea, but when you click down, there is just way too much here. This is overwhelming. Your menu should never be this long. So I would recommend splitting these up into product groups. There's got to be some way you can group these products together and then displaying them in what's called a mega nav, which actually is just more of a drop down that has categories that you can see easily and sort out what you're looking for. And this next one here, companies, I'm not really sure what they mean by companies. Are these companies they work with? Are these suppliers that they use? It's not very clear. Okay, services is okay. Contact now, this is in the middle of the navigation. Users typically like to see a contact link toward the end, kind of at the very right. So if you think of your navigation, you want to put your most important categories at the front and at the end. So I would start with products and then you want to end with contact because it's much more obvious when it's kind of out on its own. Or maybe even putting a button, like a larger contact button here, so it makes it more obvious. Now remember, you want your website navigation to be clean and intuitive so that your website visitors can find what they need easily, and that will leave them with a better impression of your company. Now the number 3 most common mistake that I see B2B websites make is outdated design. According to Forbes, 50% of internet users say that they use a website's design as a factor to form their opinion of that business. So your website design is actually super important. The thing is, website design trends tend to move fairly fast. And so what worked a few years ago might not work today. So if you haven't updated your website in 4 or 5 years or so, most likely it's time for a redesign. So here are some things that a B2B website design should have. It should have modern graphics. It should be clean with plenty of white space. It should be fast loading. It should use large, easy to read fonts. And then also modern design incorporates movement and interactive elements. And also, this is really important, it needs to be optimized for mobile devices. Now let's take a look at a website that I would say is pretty outdated. Okay, now this website here, while yes, design can be subjective, I think we can objectively say that this design is pretty outdated. The fonts are very small. Normally we need to see a font size of at least 16 points. The copy is pretty crowded and the images are not really sized properly and they're kind of outdated, and some of these graphics are outdated as well. And it doesn't take up the full screen. So this is a fixed width, and modern websites all take up the full screen, meaning they're responsive and they adjust to the size of the browser. So this company might do amazing work, but you would never know it really by the website, so it's a shame. If you want to see what a good website looks like, I'll leave a link up here to a video that I made where I go over 3 websites that are really crushing it, 3 B2B websites that are really crushing it, so you can check that out. So an outdated design makes you look less credible and less innovative, and like you just don't care enough to really invest in your business or to provide a great user experience for your prospective buyers. Think about it. Would you trust a B2B business that looks like they haven't kept up with the times? Unfortunately, a lot of B2B buyers don't. Okay, now the number 2 biggest mistake that I see on B2B websites is no calls to action or hidden calls to action. A call to action, or a CTA, is any element on your website that prompts a user to take action. So whether that's downloading a white paper, or clicking a button to contact you, or requesting a demo of your product. And this is so important because if you don't have calls to action, or if your visitor doesn't see them, you may be losing out on converting that visitor into a lead. This may sound counterintuitive, but website visitors actually want to be told what to do. You can think of it as an invitation to interact with you further so that they can get something that they need. Your CTAs should be bold and obvious, and they should be all over your site. I don't mean put a call to action after every single paragraph. That would probably get pretty annoying, but they should definitely be at the top of every page, the bottom of every page, and if it's a long page, maybe a couple places in the middle. And the other thing is that you should provide CTAs for every stage of the buying journey. So for people who are in the information gathering stage, maybe you want to provide a call to action to download an ebook or a white paper, because that is less of a commitment. If you're in an earlier buying stage, you may not want to reach out to somebody and schedule a demo right away or talk to a salesperson yet, but maybe they would be able to commit to downloading an ebook. And then maybe someone a little bit further down their buying journey would want to attend a webinar or maybe sign up for your newsletter. And then for someone who is close to making a decision, close to pulling the trigger and actually making a purchase, include CTAs to request a demo or schedule a consultation with someone on your sales team. And the number one mistake you're making with your B2B website is it is not clear what you do. I can't tell you how many clients have come to me and said, you know, people come to our website and they say that they can't figure out what it is that we do. And this is a huge problem because, again, people don't have time to poke around your website and try to figure out what you do and if they're in the right place. 61% of website users say that if they don't find what they're looking for within about 5 seconds, they will just go to another site. So that means you have a very short amount of time to reassure that user that they are in the right place and tell them what you do, because they are looking for something and you want to make sure that they know that they can find it on your website. I once had a client come to me and tell me,
we want to sort of make our website mysterious. Like, we want to make people have to work a little to find out what we do.
And I had to tell them this is the exact opposite of what you do, because people will not work for it. They're not going to spend their time poking around your website trying to figure out what you do. They're just going to leave. Now, it is okay to be creative, but one of the biggest rules to live by when it comes to websites is that clarity beats clever every time. You want to make it very clear what you do up front. So in that top section of your website, it's called the hero section. This is where everybody lands when they first come to a website. You want to have some copy that makes it clear what you do, and it should also be supported by graphics that support what you do. So let's look at this B2B website example. So I've just landed on this website's homepage, and looking at it, I just have no idea what they do. The headline here says, when it really matters, but that's not really telling me anything. This could really go on any website because every business thinks that what they do matters. Now let's look at the copy. When growth proves elusive, when your industry faces transformation, when the choices you make define your future, when getting it right the first time on time is your only option, we are the people you can turn to when it really matters. So this also isn't really telling me anything, because this could apply anywhere. They could be, I don't know, accountants, consultants, software developers. It's just really not clear here. And this abstract motion graphic in the background isn't really giving me any context either. I'm not against abstract graphics, but in this case, the whole package just really isn't telling me what they do and how they help their customers. So remember, you've only got 5 seconds, so a lot of buyers are just gonna bounce and go somewhere else. Now, I know how this happens. You've been working at your company for a while, and it's obvious what you do to you because you're immersed in it every single day, but you can't assume that other people will know what you do. So it may be a good idea to get an objective third party who isn't familiar with you to take a look at your website and ask them if they can figure out what it is that you do right away, because sometimes it's hard to see it yourself. So tell me, what are your biggest challenges with your B2B website? Tell me in the comment section below, because I'm always looking for new video topics to cover. My goal here with this site is to really create relevant content for you to help you with your B2B marketing efforts. If you like this video, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to my channel so that I can keep creating these B2B marketing videos that will help you grow your business and help you get more leads. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.